What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome to another edition of Friday Wrap Up, where I, Kevin Wheatmark, want to bring to all of us very quickly what happened this past week so we can all be on the same page, right? We got the holidays coming. We're going to be talking with family, friends. I'm sure we're at cocktail parties, we're at Christmas events, and inevitably, real estate is a hot topic. So let's just dive in so we can all be on the same page. Open houses, whatever you're doing, let's just kind of summarize what happened this past week. And the biggest news, obviously, was the Fed. The Fed reduced the Fed funds rate another quarter point, much as all the traders had anticipated. However, as I indicated in my weekly newsletter, which came out on Monday, that it was going to be the rhetoric that was the biggest concern. And what we heard was basically Powell indicating that they are much more hawkish on 2025. And as a matter of fact, the dot plot changed from potentially 4 cuts, which is what we were looking at for all of 2025, to now 2, which in my opinion now gives them a little bit room to pause. It gives them a lot of room to pause. If they're only looking at 2 cuts, if they only did 2 cuts for all of 2025, I mean, shit, they could come at any time. So it's going to allow him to really pause as the new administration comes in. I think there's a little bit of a political battle going on there between the incoming administration and what the Fed wants to do. They want to say that they're remaining non-political, but again, I think they kind of got ahead of it, so they can now step back and say, we've given the cuts that we thought we needed to give, and now we're going to pause. So we're seeing a much more cautious, and of course the traders did not like that. The market did not like those comments at all, and what we saw is 10-year treasuries get pushed. They actually finished over 4.5. We actually had 9 days in a row that the 10-year treasury finished the day on a high end of a close. Today, Friday, was the first day in 9 consecutive days that we actually finished lower than where we started, which could mean that we're making a turn. So that could be a good thing. So it goes back to what I talk about all the time, is potentially locking in those lows. So if you're in the middle of, you have a house under contract, your client does, you want to make sure that they're in touch with that mortgage professional. They're talking to them on a continuous basis so that they can possibly lock one of these little dips that we might see coming up. The other thing we saw is, what I would like to see is for Christmas, 2-1 buydowns. They are back in style. Make no mistake about it. We're back to, treasury yields and mortgage-backed securities back to where we were towards the beginning of May. So once again, that we saw a little bit of a slow summer, which for a lot of us, that could have been a peak season. But given the higher interest rates, the way to combat that, the best way to combat that is with seller concessions and offering 2-1 buydowns for Christmas. I don't expect much coming next week, right? We have 2 consecutive weeks of holidays. They're falling right in the middle of the week. We're going to get short days on Tuesdays. We're looking at 3.5 days of actual trading. So don't expect the moon or anything like that, or things to drastically change. I wouldn't be overly concerned. As you can see, the market is also not super concerned with this continuing resolution for the federal deficit and raising the debt ceiling and all that stuff. As you can see, traders really just don't care. If the government actually shuts down, it's only about, I think it's 15% of the actual government employees get furloughed. They're going to get paid anyway. It's not like they don't get their money. So, I mean, in essence, it's a fight that needs to be had, and let's hope we see a lot more of it, and let's hope over the course of the next 4 years, we chip into that federal deficit, because that is going to be one of the huge things that brings down inflation and long-term inflation, much like becoming energy independent will. All right, y'all, happy Friday. You need anything? I'm working all weekend, even though it is college football playoff season, right? We got Clemson in town this weekend down here in Austin, but super exciting for college football. So, but if you need anything, text, email, call, don't worry about it. Give me an hour. I'll make sure that I get back to you. You need, something quoted. You need a pre-approval letter. I'm your guy. Everyone have a great Friday. I'll talk to you on Monday with our weekly wrap up.